The Stonecutter by Damon Johnson, illustrated by Nan Brooks. Long, long ago, there lived a stonecutter named Hiroshi. He spent his days on a mountain, chopping giant rock into small pieces. He sold the pieces to townspeople to use for their houses. The work was extremely hard, but Hiroshi didn't mind. Every night, Hiroshi returned to his small shack at the foot of the mountain. He had no furniture except a sleeping mat, and he had just one pot for cooking a small bits of food. But he did not complain. His life was simple, but agreeable. People said that the mountain had special power that could help people. Hiroshi did not believe what people said about the mountain, and he sniffed scornfully when he saw others asking it for help. "Don't laugh, Hiroshi, or the mountain will never help you," said his neighbor. "The mountain is not special," replied Hiroshi, "and if it were, it wouldn't help me. Why would it? Besides, I'm happy." His neighbor sighed. "Well, please just be quiet then, and don't make it angry. Perhaps it'll help me." One day, a rich man who lived in town required some stones for a path to his garden. Hiroshi bundled up some heavy stones, put them on his back, and carried them into town. The man invited Hiroshi into his house and asked him to wait while he got the money to pay Hiroshi. Hiroshi was filled with curiosity because he had never been inside the rich person's house. He took a moment to gaze around the room. He noticed a table with silver plates that were filled with more food than Hiroshi had ever seen. "Why, there's enough food there for a banquet," he thought. After the man paid Hiroshi, he promptly returned to the mountain. "The rich man never has to work like I do," Hiroshi thought angrily. "Oh, what would it be like to live his life? How I would love to live in this house and possess all those beautiful things. I would have a delicious feast for every meal." Suddenly, the mountain seemed to shake, and Hiroshi heard a deep rumbling sound that boomed. "Your wish is granted." Hiroshi looked around and instantly felt suspicious. Was someone trying to play a trick on him? Hiroshi trudged home slowly that night because he did not want to return to his small shack. However, the shack was Hiroshi's home, and it was the only place he knew. When Hiroshi came to the foot of the mountain, he made an amazing discovery. His shack was vanished, and there was an enormous palace in its place. "I must have come down the wrong side of the mountain," Hiroshi thought. "I simply wasn't paying any attention." Then he recognized some trees, and he realized that he was in the same place. "It is true," he thought with astonishment. "The mountain is so generous. It has given me a rich man's house. Now I, too, must be a rich man." Hiroshi began to live a rich person's life. Anything he wanted, he bought. All his wishes were granted. There was one thing, however, that Hiroshi could not buy. It was a terribly hot summer, and every day the sun beat down on the earth. "Even my riches cannot help me," Hiroshi thought furiously. "The sun is more powerful than money, and it is more powerful than I am. Surely it is the most powerful thing in the world. If only I were the sun." Then he heard the booming voice again. "Your wish is granted." Hiroshi became the sun, and it shone every single day. Rivers dried up, and the ground became brown and cracked. Famine swept across the barren land. Meanwhile, Hiroshi was happy until a rain cloud drifted past him one day and blocked his rays. "A cloud!" Hiroshi exclaimed. "This cloud is the most powerful thing in all the world. Oh, if only I were a cloud." The voice echoed once again across the sky. "Your wish is granted." Hiroshi became a rain cloud. Then he pushed his way in front of the sun. he filled himself with rain. Then, with an enormous thunderclap, he released the rain. The rain poured down upon the earth. Rivers floated and overran, and the glass drowned and washed away. Hiroshi was thrilled by his power until one day he looked down on the earth and saw a giant stone. His rain pounded upon the stone. "Look at this stone," Hiroshi shouted. "My rain might as well not even touch it. Surely a stone must be the most powerful thing in the world. Oh, if only I were a stone." Sure enough, the booming voice was heard again. "Your wish is granted." Hiroshi became the giant stone, and the sun's rays beat down upon him. But he did not feel their heat. Mighty raindrops poured down on him, but they bounced off, leaving tiny drops that quickly dried. Suddenly, Hiroshi heard a loud and shattering noise, and he began to shake. He looked down, and there, at the foot of the stone, stood a man. The man drove his tools into a stone with great force and determination. He worked and worked until pieces of the stone chipped off and fell to the ground. Hiroshi was filled with horror because he simply could not believe what he saw. "He's just a small, simple man," Hiroshi said angrily. "How is he stronger than I am? Oh, if only I were a man." The voice boomed again, shaking the mountain where the stone rested. "Your wish is granted." Hiroshi was a man again, so he gathered his tools and went to work. He cut stone all day, and at night, he returned to his small and meager shack. He had enough food to live on. He slept well in his shack, and he was good at his work. He did not envy others, and he did not want what he did not have. At least, Hiroshi was happy once again.